Internal Revenue Service IRS tax news. Now available IRS Form 1040X electronic filing. Major IRS milestone helps taxpayers correct tax returns with fewer errors, speeds processing. IR 2020-183, August 17, 2020, Washington. Marking a major milestone in tax administration, the Internal Revenue Service announced today that taxpayers can now submit Form 1040X electronically with commercial tax filing software. There's a link to the 1040X here. This is good information for tax return preparers because really they're pushing everything to be done electronically, and so the processes are all set up to be filing tax returns electronically, but the Form 1040X then has always needed to be paper filed, which was kind of a pain because the 1040X is somewhat common of a type of tax form. So you might have situations where you got to file the tax form, and then you might have some circumstances that could happen in the future where you would need to amend the tax form at that point, and doing it by paper was a tedious process to do. So hopefully this will speed things up greatly for the processing of the tax returns. And I know the IRS has, of course, been pushing for this for a long time because they're trying to get everything to be basically online. And it's nice for tax preparers too, who can be filing a 1040X, an amended return, with these filing software. So that is kind of a big deal. Back to the text. The IRS e-filing has grown during the past 30 years. The 1040X Amended U.S. individual income tax return has been one of the last major individual tax forms that needed to be paper filed. Today's announcement follows years of efforts by the IRS, and the enhancement allows taxpayers to quickly electronically correct previously filed tax returns while minimizing errors. And again, that's a huge thing to be able to do because there's a lot of pressure if you can't, amend the tax return too easily. It's a lot nicer if you can basically file the tax return with what you have in certain circumstances and know that if something happens in the future that you can amend it without too much difficulty just to go through the paper processing work to do so. Back to the text. Quote, the ability to file the Form 1040X electronically has been an important long-term goal of the IRS e-file initiative for many years, end quote, said Sunita Lough, IRS Deputy Commissioner for Services and Enforcement. Quote, given the details needed on the form, there have been numerous changes to add this form to the e-file family. Our IT and business operation teams worked hard with the nation's tax industry to make this change possible. This is another success for the IRS modernization efforts. The addition helps taxpayers have a quicker, easier way to file amended returns and is streamlines work for the IRS and the entire tax community, end quote. Making the 1040X an electronically filed form has been a goal for the tax software and tax professional industry for years. It's been a continuing recommendation from the Internal Revenue Service Advisory Council, the IRSAC, and Electronic Tax Administration Advisory Committee, ETAAC. I would think that it would have been a repeated recommendation type of thing, because yes. Back to the text. Currently, taxpayers must mail a completed Form 1040X to the IRS for processing. The new electronic option allows the IRS to receive amended returns faster while minimizing errors normally associated with manually completing the tax form. Since the tax filing software allows users to input their data in a question-answer format and simplifies the process for them. It also makes it easier for the IRS employees to answer taxpayer questions since the data is entered electronically and submitted to the agency almost simultaneously. Quote, adding the 1040X to the filing portfolio provides a better experience for taxpayers all around. It makes submitting an amended return easier, and it allows our employees to process it in a more efficient way, end quote, said Ken Carbon, the IRS Wage and Investment Commissioner and head of the division responsible for processing these returns. For the initial phase, only tax year 2019 Forms 1040 and 1040SR returns can be amended electronically. Additional improvements are planned for the future. So they're obviously kind of drawing the line saying, okay, we're going to start this out with 2019 and then be pushing forward from that point forward with this electronic option. So if you're going to amend tax returns 2018 and before, it looks like you still need to do the old paper process for that. 2019 and pushing forward, possibly being able to move to this electronic filing process, and then you can take a look at what your software providers are providing with regards to the 1040X, and I'm sure they'll have news on it from the software provider side of things on how that process will work. Back to the text, about 3 million Form 1040X are filed by taxpayers each year. Taxpayers still have the option to submit paper version of the Form 1040X and should follow the instructions for preparing and submitting the paper form. Those filing their Form 1040X electronically and on paper can use the Where's My Amended Return, there's a link to that here, online tool to check the status of their amended return. So it does look like you can still do the paper processing filing. I'm sure they're going to run the two things side by side for some time and then possibly try to push everyone to the online option once it starts working well, which is kind of like the trend that seems to be going for filing in general.